Hi, everybody, and welcome to 13 Now. I'm News 13's Amy Hoyt. We are live in our newsroom this afternoon, and as you know, it is the 13th of the month, and that means it is Buddy Check Day here at News 13. It is a day where we send out a reminder for women and men, but mostly women, but we'll get to the men part in a moment, to check for lumps in your breast, because we know early detection is key, and if you find a lump, of course, go straight to your doctor to get that mammogram. I have some special guests with us today. It's a little bit different with our breast cancer survivors. We have Lanet and John Hewett. They are a married couple living here in Bay County. And Lanet, you had breast cancer, what'd you tell me, 17 years ago?
17 years ago.
Tell me a little bit how did you find the lump, or did you go for a mammogram first?
I found my lump. I had gone for my regular physical and did not get to finish the physical because a doctor that was treating my husband called. But anyway, we got through, got back home, and a couple of weeks later I had a brood egg, as I say, that had gotten that large. And at that time it was hard to get mammograms done, so got pushed in, worked in, and true enough, did the mammogram one day and went back the next day for the biopsy.
Now, does it run in your family, or was this just a surprise to you?
Surprise. No.
Wow. And how, do you mind me asking how old you were when you found the lump, when this started?
56, I think.
Okay, so you're a little bit, well, I guess that's right in the range then, because they say over 40 it's supposed to be. But it must have been a surprise, of course, you know, and that happens. We hear it a lot where there's no family member that had breast cancer.
And I had no friends that had ever had it, so, you know, I was in that boat alone, having to learn everything as I went, because...
Now, did you have chemo?
I had chemo first. Then I had the surgery. They did 2 different surgeries, one just for a lumpectomy, and the other was the sentinel lymph node biopsy that they went in and took all the lymph nodes out.
All right, so they didn't remove the breast then?
No.
No. Did you do radiation?
And then I did radiation. I did the surgery and the chemo in Birmingham. I did the radiation in Mariana. Dr. Stokes was practicing in Dothan, Mariana, and Enterprise at the time.
How are you feeling? Did you go through the same thing that a lot of women go through with the hair loss and all of that? Did you have an effect from the chemo?
I was blessed. I had some bad days, but yes, I lost all my hair and can very well remember it coming back as the peach fuzz.
How do your family members feel while you're going through this?
Sympathetic, you know, helpful, doing all they can. It's just a matter of them and your very close friends that you lean on.
Did you meet women at the time, or did you say it was just scarce to find other survivors to help you, give you knowledge?
At that time, it was hard to find survivors. This was in 2004, and you didn't have many. And we had, since then, had started a breast support group.
Okay, and we're going to talk, I know that you have a symposium that you've kind of parlayed this into helping others.
Correct.
Over the 17 years. We're going to talk about the symposium coming up in just a moment. Let's talk to John a little bit. Now, y'all were not married to each other 17 years ago. So this is obviously all coincidence anyway, but here we are 17 years later. Lanet, you've survived, you're doing well, you look fabulous. And then your husband, John, which, John, you know, it must be a surprise because we don't see that many men with breast cancer. So tell me your story. Did you find the lump yourself? How did this start?
It started, went to a couple of doctors, and they had told me that it was a cyst, and they said we'll watch it and we'll keep watching it, and all of a sudden in about an 8-week period, it went from the size of probably a dime into the size of a 50-cent piece. And actually my wife Lanet said, we need to go have this checked, and I agreed. And so
it was something you found first?
Yes.
You felt it.
I found it, gosh, probably 2 years before anything was done about it. So like I say, it got quite large.
When was the diagnosis? This is recent.
It was in March.
Of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so where do you go from here? You did chemo first?
I went first, of course, they gave me the diagnosis, and it was cancer. and they said it was about 2 inches around in circumference. And I went to Dr. Miller sent me to Dr. Hammerman, and he did the chemo, had his staff do the chemo for me.
Is this here in Bay County?
Yes, ma'am, it was in Bay County at the Cancer Center.
What were your feelings when you first get the diagnosis? Your wife's been through it, so she got you to the doctor. You're a good wife. Good job, because you know our husbands never want to go to the doctor.
No.
But like, what kind of emotions are you thinking, what is this? There's nobody in my family with a history.
Well, that was another thing. They said once that they found it, they said, we need to check through your family history. And they did find that it could have been and was, in the genes.
Ah.
And my daughter has been checked, and grace of God, she's okay. She didn't have that gene, but when I found it out, Amy, it was because Lanet had been through it. I kind of didn't feel totally zonked because, okay, she's been through it. 17 years later, she's my wife and here with me.
So you had support.
Yes, ma'am. And I said, okay. And then Dr. Stokes, which really put us together with everybody, which she had mentioned earlier, he says, we got you covered. So and between that and the good Lord above and prayers, I am covered.
Well, let's talk about the chemotherapy now. You said you had a reaction to it at first, correct?
Yes, ma'am. I was allergic to the chemo that they were giving me, and they had to change it at that time. I broke out in big red whelps and so forth, and of course, Dr. Hammond said, whoa, wait a minute. We got to do something different, and which they did.
You feel okay?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I feel very good. Compared to when I was on chemo, hey, I'm 200% better.
Yeah, this is different, isn't it? Yeah. Now, Lanet, how are you feeling now as a breast cancer survivor? To hear that your husband has breast cancer, when you saw the lump, did it occur to you first before they actually
yes.
diagnosed? Yeah.
The size of it really surprised me. And he wasn't wanting to go to the doctor to get any help on it. But when it started changing colors, I told him, I said, all right, this is it. We're going.
And so you were there for
And-
him.
Oh, yes.
Was it helpful that you have knowledge now so you can help him?
Well, it's worked very well. I don't intend to be the know-it-all, but you from your experiences that you've had. And
She's been super.
it's been great, us working together.
Are there other men? Have you met any other men who have had breast cancer?
I haven't, not as of yet. I was told by my surgeon, Dr. Jones, that he sees usually less than 5 a year.
Wow.
And Dr. Hammond said that he'd only seen maybe a couple a year. So, of course, him being in with several other doctors that do the same procedure.
It's less than 1% of the male population that has breast cancer.
Right.
2,500 a year is the most they've ever had.
In the United States? Or, yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably so.
This 1%.
Yeah, they're
That makes you pretty unique, huh?
pretty unique.
And I don't, maybe not in a good way, but
No, not in a good
but as
way.
a survivor now, you know, because people always ask me, why don't you interview a man? And I said, it's hard to find, and here you are. So what do you say to other men who might be listening, or maybe their wives who are saying, honey, you need to get that lump checked? I mean, how important is it for men to say, I can get breast cancer?
Number one is listen to her. Number two is probably
Are you impressed with the technology?
it's unreal,
Yeah.
unreal. I mean, they have come so far.
What's radiation like?
Radiation mainly is you just have to stay in one position for about 20 minutes, and you know, you got the machine that goes over your body, and it goes zap, zap, zap in different positions, and you don't feel any sensation from it other than you know, being in it right there on you, kind of puts you in close quarters. But you want to be still and let it do its job, and what it does, you know, basically it burns up the bad places in the hurt or the breast or wherever.
Right.
They don't only use it for breast, but they use it for other things as well.
Right, but the radiation doesn't make you sick.
No, ma'am.
No. Wow.
Now, you can have side effects from it. You can have where sometimes you see the doctor himself once a week, and of course the nurses do the radiation in the meantime every day, 5 days a week on weekdays. But you see the doctor once a week, and the doctor, of course, examines what's happening, and if there's too much redness from the burn sensation, they may stop you for a couple of days, or you know, they're right on top of it and keep you healthy.
And that's here in Panama City, right?
Right.
Or in
Yes,
Bay County?
ma'am, right here in Panama City.
How many days a week do you go?
Stokes. I go 5 days a week.
Oh, you do go 5 days a week. Did you have radiation, Lynette?
yes.
Oh, you did too?
I did. Same Dr. Stokes.
Okay.
Uh,
But yours was the lump removal.
Mine was the
You
lump
did.
removal. I didn't have to have the mastectomy. I had told him, I said, you know, quality before beauty. If I need mastectomy, do it.
And what about now? How do you keep track of it? Does it worry you, or do you think they think it won't come back?
Once you get past your 5 years that you initially had it, your chances of reoccurring is very, very low. I keep check on myself. I do have lymphedema from my lymph nodes being removed, and you have to stay on top of that.
What does that mean?
If you get a red infection, you'll get cellulitis in your arm, and it can be very, very dangerous.
Okay.
So if I start turning red on my arm, hand, or whatever, I immediately go to the doctor.
Well, that's interesting. And did you learn that
Oh, yeah.
17 years ago, or is that something you researched on your own?
I learned it after I did not have any lymphedema the first year that I had my surgery, but after that, yes, I did. And started reading. Of course, then we didn't have the media technology that we do today. But to me, that's one of the things that's not expressed enough through the doctors is you need to pay attention for
There are other
cellulitis.
things,
Yes.
right? There are other things that come with it. Well, let's talk a little bit about the symposium that's coming up, because I know that your life's work since this happened to you has been to educate
Correct.
other adults so that they know what to look for and what to expect if they are diagnosed. So tell us about a symposium coming up in October, a month from today, which is October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So when will that be?
It's going to be October the 13th. The location will be Gulf Coast State College, and we've got speakers that we're lining up for that night.
Are they doctors? Who do you have come in and speak?
We've got all doctors. I have one lady that will come. The Beads of Hope is something that has been developed that was used in Alabama. And the beads are the different stages of your lumps if you get one. If you don't do your self-examination, of course they're large. I think it's 26 millimeters. And if you do your exam yourself, you do your mammogram, of course it's much, much smaller. And there's one bead in the necklace or whatever we make that is an oblong, oval one, and that signifies that all lumps do not have to be round.
Oh, that's interesting. I guess we just expect them
Well,
to be
that's-
circular. And most probably are, but they don't have to be.
They don't have to be, no, they could be any shape. But once I got through with my chemo, radiation, all of it, I was invited to a program in Enterprise, Alabama. And theirs was an all-day program, and they were bringing doctors in from UAB that spoke, and it was all education. This year, I will not have the points to give credit to the nurses that attend, but after this first year, that's one of my plans, is us develop that and help the nurses locally that they can get more points for their license.
Interesting. And you're talking about doctors and nurses. They play such a vital role in recovery, don't they?
Absolutely. Yeah, without them, we'd be lost.
Right. It makes a difference. And my daughter's a nurse, so I favor the nurses just because. But it's important to have that relationship with them to build.
Yes.
Is the symposium for people who just want to learn, or is it for people
Yes.
going through it, or everybody?
It's for everybody. I have done this for 10 or 12 years in Mariana, and we at one time had over 400 in attendance.
Oh, wow.
And that's what I'm wanting to build here.
Where are you going to do this at the college in case you get a large?
The TAC building.
Okay, in the newer building in the
Yes,
back. Oh, beautiful.
the newer
okay.
one, facing the baseball field.
You know what time that will be?
5:30, 6 o'clock, October the 13th.
Okay.
Yes, we have several doctors speaking. We are providing a light supper that if you get off work, come on in. We got your drinks. We got you a box meal.
Is there a fee?
No.
No, it's free?
No, there is never a fee to attend this. The grand prize for the night will be, I always give away a pink KitchenAid mixer, the breast cancer pink
Very nice.
KitchenAid mixer. So,
So there'll be a lot to learn that
Yes.
evening. So anybody is invited, and we'll get that
Anybody and
information
everybody.
back out, or they'll see it again on this
Correct.
when this rebroadcast. But we'll get that information put
Thank
out
you.
there through you in the coming weeks. Is there anything else you'd want to say, maybe to men who are watching today, John, or the wives who have a husband who might have a lump?
I just can't say enough to the men about, you're not exempt. You can have breast cancer. If you have a lump or a problem, or you think something's wrong or different, have it checked by your doctor.
it could even be the change in the feel of the tissue. It doesn't have to be a lump.
Correct.
It can be a change in your tissue that could be cancer.
Well, we appreciate the information today, and for both of you coming out and sharing your experience. I know that you've helped a lot of people today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's our desire.
All right, Lanet,
Thank
John,
you for
Hewett.
having us.
Oh,
Thank
it
you.
is our pleasure. Thank you so much. We appreciate you tuning in and watching. Again, Buddy Check Day. Feel for lumps in your breast, and then call your doctor if you find anything. We appreciate you watching so much. I'm Amy Hoyt. We'll see you next